Hello, everyone. This is James Shore with Let's Code Test-Driven JavaScript. I'm recording this on October 14th, 2013. Today in the lab, I have a special treat for you. Vojta is joining us for an interview. Vojta is the creator of Karma, the cross-browser testing framework we use in the live channel, and he's also a member of the AngularJS team at Google. Vojta is originally from the Czech Republic and now resides in San Francisco. Vojta, welcome to Let's Code JavaScript.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, James.
In October 2011, you made the first commit for Karma, the cross-browser testing tool. That was about 6 months after you started at Google. So what happened there? Did you just wake up one morning and say, hey, we need to write a tool? Or was there something else there? Tell us the story of that.
No, we actually, before Karma, we were using this tool called JS Test Driver that Miško Hevery, my colleague, he was kind of one of the authors of that tool. And that was the main motivation because we were not happy with that tool. And I thought that the core idea of like capturing different browsers and running the tests on these browsers and controlling everything from the command line, I thought that was pretty neat. And so at first I was trying to fix that tool, but then I realized that it's going to be probably easier to design it differently.
Why the command line? There's a lot of testing tools out there, Mocha, QUnit, and so forth. What appealed to you about creating a tool that worked particularly from the command line?
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to integrate with anything, right? I mean, nowadays there are plugins for WebStorm and NetBeans and all kinds of IDEs and text editors, and most of these editors can communicate easily with tools through command line, basically. And I mean, when you're talking about Mocha is a great framework and great testing tool. I sometimes use it for testing Node.js stuff. But the main thing about Karma is that you run the code on real browsers. That was one of the important requirements for us on the AngularJS team, because we tried to test only like using headless browsers and stuff, and it didn't work well. Like we realized that we need to execute the code on the real browsers.
What sort of things happened when you didn't run against the real browsers? What sort of issues were you running into?
Well, the whole I think the biggest problem is DOM. All the DOM APIs and Angular. There's lots of crazy things with DOM, like all the directives and components. That's a lot of DOM manipulations, and we just need to test that. And there are ways of like you can use like JS DOM or some other simulations on Node.js, but the problem is that it has different issues than the real browsers. So I still think that it's very helpful, and for Angular it's necessary to test on the real browsers.
When you started working on Karma, it was specifically for AngularJS. Did you expect it to take off in the way it has?
No, not at all. The main reason why I was doing it was for us, for our team, which was at that time that was 3 people. It was Miško, Igor, and me. So I was basically writing the tool for us. I brought some very basic thing that worked, but it was very basic, and then we started from there. Like Miško would say, it should do this, and Igor said, this is not good. We need to, we're just trying to make the tool to fit our needs. And it turned out that there's a lot of other people, especially from the Angular community, that kind of use similar approaches and similar techniques as we do, so it works for them too, which is great.
Did you find yourself doing a lot with test-driven development before you started working with Google, or is this more something that's been driven by your work with Angular?
No, I think that it was more like the other way around. That was one of the reasons why was super interested in when Mishko called me, and like it was definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to join Google, because I was very interested in testing before that.
What inspired that? You actually described yourself in your bio for DevOps 2012 as a TDD fan. Where did that come from?
Uh, you mean why I'm interested or fan of test-driven development?
Yeah, I mean, when you were 5 years old, I presume you didn't think to yourself, "Oh, I just love test-driven development." So, where did that come from?
Yeah, daycare. Ah, I don't even know. I mean, like always since the very beginning, since I started like playing with programming and stuff, I was always looking for some better ways, like more efficient ways how to do things. Because honestly, that's how I started programming. I was always like writing little scripts that helped me to do something that I didn't want to do manually, you know. And so even when it comes to programming, I think I've been always looking for some more efficient ways of doing things. And testing was definitely appealing to me. I really I don't know why. I mean, it's probably because you always test. You know, it's this question if you do it manually or automatically. You know, even without test-driven development, you write some code, and if it's a web app, then you go to the browser, open the web app, and see if it works. You click through it, and it's like, oh, this works or not. And so what I'm trying to do, or what we are trying to do, is just about like automating this so that you don't waste time with it. And I definitely remember at the beginning it was not that easy. Like it was not like I would be like, oh, let's try writing tests, and since the first second it would be like, oh, that's the best. You know, it I think it took me a while to like get into it and like realize what works and what not. And I mean, I'm still trying to figure out better ways how to test. You know, even on Angular team, which is we are really into testing. We have lots of tests, but we're still thinking how to make it better because you know, like how to make the test more readable and more useful, basically.
One of the common complaints or criticisms of test driven development is how long it can take to figure out how to test something. When you're testing something for the first time, it can take many multiples of your actual development time to figure out how to do the test. It can take much more time to do the tests than to do the actual production development. And we particularly see this in the show, Let's Code JavaScript, partly because that's the nature of the show, that's what we're doing, but also because we're doing a lot of things that we haven't figured out or haven't been done broadly before. So, how would you react to somebody who came up to you and said, well, test driven development just really isn't worth it. It takes too much time?
Well, it depends. Like if you are writing very little script or app that you're gonna use just once, then maybe it's not worth it. But if you plan on maintaining something longer than that, then I think it's definitely worth it. Like I can tell you that what we did on Angular, I don't think that would be ever possible without the testing support that we have and without relying on testing. Like it was just three people and we were doing so many things, and even at that point there were pretty big projects at Google using Angular, and if you break them down they would be pretty upset, and we still needed to make big changes and breaking changes and stuff. And I really think that test just gives you more confidence. It gives you more confidence to make changes. It's not 100%, and it will never be, but it gives you more confidence.
You said that if you're doing a really small one off script, you wouldn't do testing on it. But if it was larger, you would. So, where's the line? Where do you decide that this is large enough to be worth testing, or this is too small and it's not worth it?
So I don't know what's the best thing to do. I can just say what I do. And for me, it starts when it depends what the script or what the program is about. So if it's something that is very visual, for instance, that's usually not that easy to unit test. And then I probably, like, let's say it's a web app, I would probably start like with fiddling with it in the browser, in the console, and like trying things out. But even if it's just like some command line script, I usually start with test because that's really easy, and it's really, once you have all the environment set up for like writing these tests, then it just saves you time even during development. Like nowadays, if I'm up to writing some command line script, I usually start with simple tests always, because it's just easier than switching back to command line and trying to run the script and checking the output and checking what happened and what did not happen. If you just have already the like framework or the environment for writing a test, it's easier to write the test because you just stay in your editor and it's faster.
You recently released a tool called Auto Release to help you release Karma more easily. And you'd mentioned staying in the editor and that making you faster. How does build automation play into making things faster for you?
Well, in general, I think I would like to automate as much as possible because it takes a lot of time. And with Karma, that was the exact reason. Like, I ended up having too many projects on GitHub and npm, and I was not able to basically deal with it. Like, I'm still not dealing with it as I would like to, but this auto release helped me a lot because at least I'm not the bottleneck when it comes to real, like, pushing stuff to npm and stuff. So I, like, on Karma, the ultimate source of truth is the master, and I need to make sure that we don't push stupid things to master. But then, as long as the tests are passing on Travis, it gets automatically deployed to npm. And I actually have this set up for most of my projects, and it's really good. Like, I don't receive emails like before, like, hey dude, like, you merged my pull request, but I need you to push it to npm. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like, I was getting emails like this like twice a day.
So how much time would you say that saved for you then?
Uh, I don't know. I don't have numbers, but I think I definitely like it. And honestly, I still believe that we can do this with Angular too, like with not with the major releases, but with the minor releases. I hope we can get there. And that was, like a year ago or a year and a half, I don't know, when I originally came up with this git commit message syntax that we have when we use it on Angular. That was the main point, like, to distinguish easily like commits that are just style changes or like just formatting code, and changes that are actually some new features or breaking changes and all that kind of stuff, so that we can automatically populate the changelog, which we are already doing. And the idea is, hopefully we can get AngularJS to this auto release schedule too.
You started at Google in April 2011, correct?
Yes, that's when I started working for Google. I was working remotely, I guess 6 months, because I was waiting for a visa. So I moved to California in October that year.
And you've been part of the AngularJS team since the beginning.
Yes.
AngularJS has been, in many ways, taking the JavaScript world by storm. You see a lot of articles about it, a lot of how-tos. There's the egghead.io videos about how to use Angular well. What do you think it is about Angular specifically that's causing it to be so successful and so interesting to people?
I have no idea. Like, honestly, when I think about it, I'm kind of shocked. It's awesome. It's amazing. I really appreciate it. I'm very happy that people are kind of getting the ideas that are behind Angular, which is, by the way, I think testing is one of the core principles behind Angular, and making things simple and declarative, and that's great. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's great, and it's really great. The community behind Angular is really awesome. I think that's probably part of it. I think all the talks and stuff like the effort that we put into, say, trying to explain these ideas, I think that was really important. But I don't know. That's all I can think of. It's amazing, but if I knew the recipe, that would be cool. But no, I don't. I don't think anybody on the team knows.
Well, what about the other side of it then? If you weren't expecting the success, then what was the motivation for creating Angular in the first place?
Well, that would be a better question for Mishko, who originally started the project. Because, but like he was trying to make a tool for, originally I think it was for like designers, to create simple apps without actually writing any JavaScript. So you would just write HTML, and he would provide some backend that you could simply declare for like sending emails and maybe storing some data, and you would basically write your whole app in HTML just by adding more tags and attributes. And I think that's how it started. But then it one project at Google started using it. It was a project that Mishko was working on, and he was frustrated with Java and Git. And so yeah, that's the favorite story, that he basically told Brad, who's our manager now, that he can rewrite the whole thing that they did in like 6 months or something in Angular in 2 weeks or something. And so Brad told him, okay, if you do it, I'll give you $10,000. And so Mishko spent 2 weeks without sleep and migrating this project to Angular. But he did it, and it was really impressive because the numbers. I think the numbers keep changing as Mishko keeps saying the story, but I think it was something like 16,000 lines of Java into like 1,000 lines of JavaScript or something ridiculous. And so everybody at Google was like, "Oh wow, this is cool." And I think that's how it started, when Mishko basically started working on Angular as his full-time job, because before that it was just his free time thing.
So it's just sort of grown, just like Karma. It's become successful because it works, not because there was any sort of grand plan.
There were definitely no grand plans, not at all. I honestly think like the whole time we spent, let's say it's just me 2 years, but before that it was at least 1 year or a year and a half where Mishko was like working on it on his free time. And this whole time it was basically like sponsored by Google. I would say mostly because of our awesome manager. It was not like Google's vision to develop this framework. And then it got successful, and now it's a huge part of Google. Like internally there's hundreds of projects using Angular. So
You're a new father. Congratulations. Yeah.
yes.
What's your baby's name?
Her name is Bianca.
You recently returned to Europe for paternity leave, and now you're back in San Francisco. What's it been like leaving your home and traveling across the world to work at Google?
It's been fun. I've been always traveling, and I never spend that much time at home. So even though I really love my family, my parents, and I'm always happy to go back to see them. But I guess I was always exploring things and trying to try everything. So somehow I ended up in California now.
Looking at your LinkedIn page, it says you attended school until 2011. Is that when you graduated?
I actually I think I finished my master's this summer. Yeah, I was pretty bad student. I didn't go to school that much, so it took me a long time. But yeah, my mom basically made me to finish my master's. It was more her achievement than mine, I think.
So you mentioned that you'd been into TDD pretty much since you started programming. How did you get into software development? What was your start into the industry?
So I remember when I was at, say, high school, I had a friend and he had Visual Basic, so and I sort of somehow got into that, but that was really like very lame stuff. And as I said, I would just write scripts for me to to do things that I didn't want to do manually. It was not, I wouldn't call it serious programming. And then, I mean, I went to university to like computer science, but honestly, at the time, I just wanted to do music. I wanted to go to Prague to do music school and play the trumpet. And so I went to that university mostly because my parents wanted me to do university, and that university was probably the easiest for me because I was like math and this stuff was easy for me. And so I ended up in Prague playing trumpet and sometimes going to school. And then I got braces, which was pretty bad for playing trumpet. It was not good. And so I needed money, to buy food and stuff. And so this was, I don't know, I was just needed to figure out what to do, like, find some part-time job or something. And I was able to, like, at that time I could do like websites and stuff for friends. And so I started working for that company that was making websites, you know. And it was, I don't know, it was really, I realized very early, like after a few weeks, I realized, wow, this is what I should be doing. Like, it was so easy and I enjoyed it a lot. And so I've been programming since then. And I think that's when I started to like do real programming. And at that time, I was totally lame. Like, I didn't know anything. It was funny.
Well, what
Like,
was it about the programming that attracted you to it?
I think the creativity, like that you can create new things, and it's also pretty fast. Like if you want to build a car and ship it, I think it's much harder than create software. I like that software is it's very easy and really fast. If you have an idea, you can just write an app and publish it really easily. It's pretty fast.
Do you still play the trumpet?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I play with two bands nowadays. One band is called Hoopty, and the other one is called the Humidors, and it's both kind of jazz funky. Here in the Bay Area, San Francisco or San Jose.
So if some of our viewers in the Bay Area wanted to come see you in November, when would be a good opportunity for them to come do that?
Uh, that's I don't know from top of my head, but I'm pretty sure we will play. We play with the Humidors. We play in the Boom Boom Room in San Francisco pretty often.
Hmm.
And I mean, you can check it out on Facebook or any other uh, music websites of the band, and there's gonna be dates, and we play in San Francisco very often, and it's fun. Yeah, you should totally come.
What's next for you? You've been working on Karma for a while now. You've got a lot of people helping you out and a pretty large following. What's next for you?
I don't know. I asked this question myself probably every morning, every night. Like there is still a lot of work that needs to be done on Angular. We have a lot of say new ideas what we want to try. Like the next thing I'm personally working on Angular is like designing better or new dependency injection system that would integrate better with ECMAScript 6 modules or even AMD or CommonJS modules. And we have all the whole list of things that we want to try, like ideas and things that we want to do on Angular. So that's definitely part of the stuff that I want to be doing. Uh, I don't know. I keep thinking about it, but we'll see. I'm honestly, I don't want to make it a big deal, but I'm kind of like thinking I'm sometimes tired of this modern society. Like California is awesome, it's a beautiful place, but very often I'm thinking about maybe living somewhere like in Peru with shamans and stuff for a bit or something. I don't know.
What's the motivation for that? Why do that?
I don't know because we have all these cool technologies here, but we spend so much time like in traffic or filling out forms and all this bullshit that I just like. I think the cost of living, like the overhead of living in the modern, like the um, educated or like the modern society is just very high, And I've been always very interested in a lot of spiritual things and dreaming and soul traveling and whatnot. And pretty recently, I met again one guy who's been to Peru and spent a lot of time with local shamans who kind of like teach all the stuff about like nature and they have a lot of knowledge, and sometimes they know even more stuff than we do about like medicine and how to heal people. And what they do is, I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not easy. Like they just drink hallucin drinks, and that's how they learn. And so that sounds interesting to me.
Vojta, Jína, thank you very much for joining us here on Let's Code JavaScript.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me, and thanks a lot for having me.
Vojta Jína is the creator of Karma, the cross-browser testing tool, and a member of the AngularJS team at Google. He is also a trumpet player who you can go see at the Boom Boom Room and other venues in the San Francisco area. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.